It is so nice to just sit and relax with a coffee on a Saturday morning. You seem a bit quiet today, Speaker One. Is everything okay?
I'm okay, thank you. I just have something on my mind that is frustrating me a little bit.
Oh, what is it?
It's my German language learning. I have been living in Austria for 6 months now, and I feel like I am not making enough progress. It's much more difficult than I expected.
Ah, the challenges of learning a new language. I understand that feeling completely. It can be a long and difficult journey sometimes.
It really can. Sometimes I feel very motivated and I learn a lot, but then some weeks I just feel stuck. I feel like my brain is full and I can't learn anything new. It's very discouraging.
That is a very normal part of the process. It's like a roller coaster. There are ups and downs. The most important thing is not to give up. What do you find is the most difficult part for you at the moment?
I think the hardest part for me is the grammar. It just seems so complicated, and there are so many rules to remember, and so many exceptions to the rules.
I can definitely relate to that. German grammar is famously tricky. Many people say it is one of the most difficult aspects of the language.
I agree with them. The thing I really struggle with are the cases, the 4 different cases for the nouns, and how the articles like der, die, and das change all the time. I can never remember which one to use.
Yes, the cases are a big challenge. Even for native German speakers as children, it takes a long time to learn them correctly, so you should not be too hard on yourself.
It's just frustrating when I am trying to say a simple sentence and my brain freezes because I am worrying about choosing the right article.
I understand. And then there are the long, complicated sentences where the verb often comes at the very end.
Don't even talk about the verbs. It's a completely different sentence structure to English. It feels like I have to rewire my brain.
It can definitely feel like that. It's a big mental workout. So, tell me, how are you currently learning German? What are your study methods?
At the moment, I am mostly using a language learning app on my smartphone. I try to do a 10-minute lesson every day.
That's a great habit to have. Consistency is very important. There are some excellent apps available these days. Do you find it helpful?
Yes and no. The app is very good for learning new vocabulary. It's like a fun game with points and leaderboards. It keeps me motivated to learn new words every day.
So it's good for vocabulary. What are the downsides of the app?
The problem is that it doesn't explain the grammar rules very well. It just shows you examples, but it doesn't explain why the sentences are structured in a certain way. So I am not really understanding the system behind the language. And the other problem is that I am not actually speaking to anyone. I am just tapping on my phone. I'm not having a real conversation.
I think I understand your situation perfectly. The app is a great tool for vocabulary, but it is not enough by itself, especially for a language with complex grammar like German.
So what do you suggest? What should I do to understand the grammar better?
I think for learning grammar, there is no substitute for a real, structured language class with a good teacher.
A formal language course? I have been thinking about that.
I highly recommend it. In a good class, the teacher can explain the grammar rules to you in a clear and logical way. And if you have a question, you can just raise your hand and ask. You can't ask an app a question.
That is a very good point. Having a teacher to answer my specific questions would be incredibly helpful.
And another great benefit of a class is that you will have other classmates. You will be in a room with other people who are at the same level as you and who are facing the same challenges. It's a very supportive environment. You can practice speaking together.
A language class is a brilliant idea. I am going to look for one that starts in the autumn. Now, what about my other skills? I also find listening very difficult.
Listening comprehension can be very tricky. When native speakers talk to each other, they often speak very fast and use a lot of slang.
Exactly. When my colleagues at work are talking to each other, I can only understand maybe 50% of the conversation. They speak so quickly.
A great way to improve your listening skills is to expose yourself to the language as much as possible in a fun and relaxed way. For example, you could start watching German movies or television shows.
That's a good idea. Should I watch them with English subtitles?
Yes. To begin with, you should definitely watch with English subtitles. That way, you can follow the story, but your ears will start to get used to the sound and the rhythm of the German language.
And later, when I get better, I could try watching with German subtitles.
Exactly. Listening to German music and podcasts is also a fantastic way to train your ear. Just try to make it a part of your daily life. So, how we have a plan for your grammar and a plan for your listening skills. Now, let's talk about the biggest and scariest challenge of all for most language learners.
I think I know what you are going to say. Speaking?
Yes, speaking. It is often the biggest fear.
It is definitely my biggest fear. I can often understand what people are saying, but when it is my turn to speak, I just freeze. I am so scared of making mistakes and sounding stupid.
That is the most common fear in the world for language learners. But I am going to tell you something very important. You have to make mistakes. Making mistakes is a normal and necessary part of the learning process.
It just feels so embarrassing.
But it's the only way to improve. You have to be brave and just try. Most people will be very patient and happy that you are making an effort to speak their language.
So, how can I practice speaking in a safe environment?
A great way to practice is to find a tandem partner. That is a German speaker who wants to learn English. You can meet for a coffee, and you can spend half the time speaking in German and half the time speaking in English. You can correct each other's mistakes in a very friendly way.
A tandem partner. That is a brilliant idea. A language exchange. It's a win-win situation for both people. Where can I find a tandem partner?
There are many websites and apps for it. Or the university usually has a notice board where people look for tandem partners.
I will definitely look for one. That would help my confidence so much. Now,
You mentioned earlier that the app I use is good for a vocabulary. Do you have any other tips for learning new words?
Yes, learning vocabulary is very important. I think using flashcards is a very effective method.
You mean a small card with the German word on one side and the English translation on the other?
Exactly. You can make them yourself with paper, or you can use a flashcard app on your phone. The important thing is to review them regularly.
That's a good classic technique.
And another very important tip is to learn new words in context. Don't just learn a single word, like apple. Learn the word as part of a useful phrase, like, I would like to buy an apple.
That makes so much sense. That way you are learning the grammar and the vocabulary at the same time. And you're learning a phrase that you can actually use in a real conversation.
I have one final piece of advice for you today, and I think it is the most important advice of all.
Okay, I am ready for it.
You have to make it fun. Learning a language should be an enjoyable and rewarding experience, not a chore that you hate.
That's a great philosophy. But how do I make learning German grammar fun?
You need to connect the language to your own hobbies and interests. What are the things that you love to do?
Well, I love to cook, and I am a big football fan, and I enjoy watching movies.
Perfect. So you can combine these hobbies with your German learning. For example, next time you are cooking, why don't you find a simple recipe for an Austrian dish like Kaiserschmarrn and try to follow the recipe in German?
That is a brilliant idea. I would be learning cooking vocabulary in a very practical and delicious way.
Exactly. And next time you watch a football match, you could try to watch it on a German television channel with the German commentary. And we already talked about watching German movies. If you connect the language to your passions, it doesn't feel like studying at all. I have one final piece of advice for you today, and I think it is the most important advice of all.
Okay, I am ready for it.
You have to make it fun. Learning a language should be an enjoyable and rewarding experience, not a chore that you hate.
That's a great philosophy. But how do I make learning German grammar fun?
You need to connect the language to your own hobbies and interests. What are the things that you love to do?
Well, I love to cook, and I am a big football fan, and I enjoy watching movies.
Perfect. So you can combine these hobbies with your German learning. For example, next time you are cooking, why don't you find a simple recipe for an Austrian dish like Kaiserschmarrn and try to follow the recipe in German?
That is a brilliant idea. I would be learning cooking vocabulary in a very practical and delicious way.
Exactly. And next time you watch a football match, you could try to watch it on a German television channel with the German commentary. And we already talked about watching German movies. If you connect the language to your passions, it doesn't feel like studying at all.
I cannot thank you enough, Speaker 2. This has been the most helpful and motivating conversation I have had in a long time. I feel so much better about my language learning journey now.
I am so happy to hear that. You just needed a little bit of direction and encouragement.
I was feeling so stuck and frustrated, but now I have a list of new, practical strategies that I can try. I feel like I have a clear path forward.
Let's do a quick summary of your new language learning plan.
Okay, so for grammar, I am going to find a structured beginner's course. For listening, I am going to start watching German movies with subtitles.
Excellent. What about speaking?
For speaking, I am going to be brave and find a tandem partner to practice with. And for vocabulary, I will use flashcards and learn new words in full sentences.
And what is the most important rule?
To make it fun by connecting it to my hobbies. And to set small, achievable goals to stay motivated.
That is a fantastic and very comprehensive plan. You are going to make so much progress. Remember, learning a new language is a marathon, not a sprint. Just be patient and consistent, and you will get there.
I will. Thank you again for all your wonderful advice. I feel ready to start again.